Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Caleb, back with another one of these little sneak peeks from these E3 indie games out of Freedom Games. This game is called Anuchard. It's a civilization restoring action RPG. The developer is stellarNull. You get to follow a character that is called the Bellwielder, which is A plus proper nouning. Good job. The purpose of the goal of the game is to like go out and dungeon crawl to find lost souls and return them back to their home as you like rebuild this city and then reconnect these continents that all have different biomes and all these things as you try to like restore the world that's kind of fallen into shambles around you. The combat looks a lot like it's kind of inspired by not specifically Hades, but it definitely has like the flash, the flare, the speed to it. Looks like it's a lot of fun. I didn't actually get hands on with this one, so the interview you're going to see here isn't me playing through it. It's actually going to be the person I'm speaking to walking through it and kind of showing things as they go. They didn't have demo codes or hands-on codes able to hand out or available to hand out for this one. But this game, as with most of the games that I've put these videos together for this little mini E3 sneak peek thing, are coming out like Q1 2022 or late Q4 2021. I believe in this interview he said that like they've been in pre-production for a while, but they've just really gotten into the production cycle now. So this game looks really good. The art style is really slick and I enjoy it. And then you'll notice that like I said, there's a lot of character in the way the player character swings this like bell on the end of a staff, which is a great weapon. The Bellwielder, again, great name. And there's a lot of kinetic energy to fighting where you're seeing enemies get hit and sliding across the map and running into things. It's very cool. Check it out. This is Anuchard, again, by developer stellarNull. And I will catch you guys on the next one.
All right. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Doing all right. TJF.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure that it's been a busy and stressful week.
It's definitely been busy. So just as you can see, we're demoing a lot of different games. So,
Yeah.
but it's been a good kind of busy. It's really exciting to be able to show everything off, and our developers have been working so hard on all these projects. So, it's been great to kind of have this peak and all this excitement around it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's like a double-edged sword. It's super fun to be doing it and also super stressful to lead up to it and very tiring while doing it. But it's all good. It's a net positive always.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, it's like every E3, right?
right. Yeah, exactly.
So except at least I don't have to be in Los Angeles.
Sure. Yeah. I'm a little sad that I can't be in Los Angeles, but more happy that I'm able to be at home. So
Yeah, I miss out on seeing friends. It's been really rough for like whatever 18 months now that I haven't
yeah.
gotten to see anyone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hopefully soon.
Yeah. And who knows what the fall. Like, there's supposed to be a couple of things in fall, and Game Awards is going to be in person again. So maybe we're really close to being back to normal, or at least somewhat.
Here's hoping.
Right.
Oh, I like your setup.
Hey, thanks.
I just started my stream up.
Oh, you did.
Which, by the way, let me turn your volume up just a little bit. By the way, my name is Benjamin. I'm the director of publishing here at Freedom Games.
All right. I'm Caleb. If you didn't, my name's Caleb Sawyer.
Great to meet you, Caleb. Yeah, so hopefully it's not too much of a letdown. I am not Rico Lemba, the lead developer of Anuchard.
Sure. I'm sure
Rico
it won't
and
be a
his
letdown.
team. Yeah, well, you booked to see the developer, and I'm not the developer.
Sure.
Rico and his team are based in Indonesia, so it's something like 3 a.m. for him.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm here. I've been helping him out with with the demos this week. So I will be here helping take you through the Anuchard demo.
Sweet.
Can you see the title screen now?
I can. Yes.
Awesome. Then without further ado, welcome to the world of Anuchard. Anuchard is an Action adventure RPG, really kind of retro inspired. Really built. The guys love the classic Quintet games. So they're like core inspiration. You'll see a lot of DNA from PS1, SNES era
Yeah,
games. I mean, you can tell right off just looking at it.
sure.
Um,
Yeah,
and
100%.
if you're a fan of Legend of Mana, which I know I am,
Yep.
um, you'll see a lot of visual inspiration from that. The combination of painted backgrounds, pixel art characters, and modern particle effects
Right.
um, really calls back to that kind of art style.
Yeah, it's a cool mix. It's a cool mix. I love when, like, I was talking about this in my last call. Is that like as time progresses, you have all these people that were inspired by all these games they played on PS1 and NES and Super NES and all these things. But like now we can do those, and on top of it, add like more modern effects and technology to them. So it's interesting to see these games with this retro style doing like modern stuff. It's I love it. It's one of my favorite things.
So let me tell you a little bit about the story so far. The game is set in Anuchard. It's this island, which Anuchard was once a kind of bustling utopian society, a series of islands, um, and kind of protected and looked after by the five guardians. Unfortunately, long ago, the guardians turned their back on Anuchard, and the civilization sort of fell to ruin. And so that's where we really are today. Is in the village of Anuchard. It's very small. There are not a lot of people. It's relatively low tech. Um, and you could tell that the villagers don't really have the guardians in super high regard these days. And so the story starts with our main character who interacts with the bell here and is sort of connected with this mysterious mythical weapon, the bell, the Audros bell. And by taking it up, takes on the role of Bellwielder, which is sort of a ancient uh, role connected to kind of the magic of Anuchard and the Guardians. And so the game really revolves around going into the dungeon to help retrieve the souls of townspeople who have ventured in looking for resources to help build the city, but no one ever comes out. They end up appearing here as stone statues.
Hmm.
And over time, you will help reawaken the Guardians and bring them back, and kind of improve the Anuchard to bring it back to some of its former glory.
Sure.
So we're really excited to be able to announce, as our big E3 announcement is, in addition to coming to PC and Steam, Anuchard through the Microsoft Xbox's diversity fund, they've helped, and we are also going to be able to bring Anuchard to Xbox.
Awesome.
And that'll all be coming in Q1 of next year.
Nice. That's really great.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's really great.
So one of the first dungeons that's already been done in this demo, we rescued. This is our cook. And so this is kind of a key mechanic for weapons and stat upgrades. So you'll unlock a bunch of different ingredients, and every different combination will cook a different type of food. So I'll let you decide. Do you want me to put the cabbage in first or the potato?
Potato.
All right, so put the potato in first, and that's going to give me an air spinner attack on my weapon.
All
And
right.
we'll add the cabbage, and that's going to give me a health bonus
Okay.
to my stats. So go ahead and cook that up. And they wanted to create a kind of a process here that had no UI, so you kind of physically pick up the ingredients and huck them in the cauldron.
Yeah, sure. Man, I love
all
I love food art in games. It's the best.
the food art in this game all looks so delicious. A lot of it's based on Indonesian and Southeast Asian cuisines. There's
Sure.
all kinds of really interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's a great way to help get prepared for each dungeon. So it'll last me through this entire dungeon encounter, and the next dungeon I'll be able to make something else. So here's my
Nice.
air spinner attack.
Okay.
Put that to good use in the dungeon. Another NPC that we've unlocked, is a pretty early game, is the Lumberjack NPC. And And this is just a placeholder, this UI. The game is still in development.
Sure.
The guys have spent a couple years doing pre-production and then have been in production for about 5 or 6 months now. So this will be the upgrade system. You can use these different resources that you find in the dungeon to unlock both. Like this is kind of a combat, like an upgrade ability. And this is unlocking a new ingredient. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and unlock the essence extractor ability.
Nice.
And, to this. You can also see here kind of a hint of how the game progresses with unlocking kind of these different continents that will become reattached to the island.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's not just like saving people and helping rebuild, but also like reconnecting.
Exactly. And that's really one of the core themes. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that too. So here's just an interesting little system. The guys talk about how when they were playing, right, that you'd play an RPG for a while, and they're big fans of like Soul Blazer, Terranigma, stuff like that. That maybe you set it down for a while and then you come back to it and you're kind of like, oh, geez, what the heck is happening? Where are we? What's right? So they built this. They really wanted to build a bulletin board system that they can use to kind of talk about what's been happening or what's happened so far. This is also where some of the side quests that are in development will spring from. And then there's also some information about the missing persons, which is pretty central, like I said, to kind of the loop of going into the dungeon to retrieve these souls to bring back NPCs.
Nice.
So one of the powers unlocked by being the Bellwielder is you'll see these disembodied voices, Mag, Bimba, and Dolly, who are sort of the Bell spirits. And you'll notice that a lot of kind of exposition comes from them. They're kind of connected to the deep ancient magic, and they're really a vehicle to help kind of bring the player along and learn more and more about the magic of Anuchard. Bon Bon, the animal herder, is telling us about how there used to be all kinds of different animals, and now there are just these chickens. But one of his chickens is missing. It's wandered off, perhaps into the dungeon. So we'll keep an eye out and see if we can't help him out, do something there.
Nice. I love the art style of this game.
Isn't it beautiful?
It looks great.
I love it. So here's we're going to head into the dungeon. This is a great example of those modern particle effects over the kind of hand-drawn backgrounds. And this is still this is not a fully finished background.
Sure.
And so the bell, which is kind of is obviously very central to everything. So you'll notice that it really is kind of a center point in almost every system in the game.
Sure.
Spirits providing some commentary about the dungeon. Here's one of those resources, so we'll collect those as we go through the dungeon so that we can buy more upgrades. So they're talking a little bit about the dungeon and how it's shaping itself to kind of fit the soul that currently. So what we used something called wow, the word is escaping me. Like a trinket associated with the person to sort of attune with the particular dungeon that they're stuck in. And so they're talking about how the longer they're trapped in the dungeon sometimes adapts to them and their personality. Also makes the dungeon more dangerous.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So one of the things that Rico likes to talk about is how in Anuchard there is no big bad evil guy. So there's unlike some of the other RPGs where you've got your Kefkas and Sephiroths.
Sure.
Anuchard, they really wanted to put the ow, stop it. They really wanted to put the humanity at the center of the story. And so now that you've sort of claimed the power of the bell, the villagers, everyone's sort of clamoring to have this person brought back and that person brought back. And, you'll bring more development and more resources to the town. But all of that human progression comes with, consequence. And so that really becomes kind of a key element in the story and progression in Anuchard.
Interesting. What kind of consequences do they have like in mind when these kinds of things take place?
You know, that's a great question that no one has asked before. So I don't have a great answer for that.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
have always imagined it to mean stuff like, you know, maybe overcrowding, right? Like if you all of a sudden bring a lot of people back to a town that's not ready to support them, or just like the real world, right? I think, right, we
Yeah,
invented
sure.
social media, but like not necessarily a wholly positive effect on every aspect of our lives.
Yeah,
So I think that maybe different technologies could maybe have unexpected um,
like negative impacts in places you may not have looked.
yeah, so
Sure,
that's just my own kind of personal interpretation. I
sure,
can't really speak as the developer on. I can't really speak as the developer on that particular part.
sure.
But it's like I said, that's a great question. I've never actually delved that deep into it.
It's an interesting like potential to have to like maybe not even worry about, but just kind of like plan for. That makes progressing interesting. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, this kind of calls back to some of these other RPGs where there's really a central town that you're sort of rebuilding and expanding over the course of the game, and that's really what they're really kind of really devoted to this vision of creating a compact action adventure RPG that kind of reminds people of some of these classic games that they love so much.
Yeah, sure.
So as you saw, this is kind of another classic dungeon feature. You know, sort of these invisible passages.
Yep.
In that case, we were rewarded with a little hologram. And the holograms kind of tell the story of the person as they came into the dungeon and got trapped here and what happened to them. Um, Another resource. So let's talk about the combat system a little bit. You've probably noticed there are a couple different types of attack. There are really just two types of attacks. Again, kind of wanting to keep to a minimalist theme, a little bit of inspiration from like Hyperlight Drifter, if you've played
Yep.
that.
Yep. 100%.
There are really two attack types. There's the my little 3 attack combo, which right now you'll notice isn't doing any damage. And then there's a heavy attack, which if you don't connect with an enemy, the heavy attack sort of becomes this dodge roll. Ow. Oh, I'm getting my butt kicked. If you do connect with an enemy, then it's going to send them flying, and if they hit the wall, that'll do pretty good amount of extra damage.
Yeah, break damage is cool. I like that.
Something else you'll notice is these enemies that have a number and an icon, these are different types of armor. This is a mechanic that they use to kind of continually spice up and keep the game fresh. So this particular type of armor is explosion armor. So, oops, I wanted to hit the tree, but I missed. Let's see if I can still hit it. So you'll notice that when we broke the armor, it caused that kind of explosion of projectiles.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll see some other armor types as we continue into the dungeon, and I'll make sure to call those out. But you know, it adds to thinking about, you know, hitting multiple enemies, or like when I do that, I want to make sure I've got room to dodge. So kind of keeps the very physical, kinetic aspect of the combat,
Yeah.
which is really central to Anuchard.
Yeah, it really feels like you brought up Hyperlight Drifter, and that was the first thing I thought of watching the trailer. Is that like it has that character in its like movement and in its attacks that I really liked from that game as well.
Another pretty key aspect of the classic dungeons is some of these puzzles. In this case, they really are kinetic puzzles. Again, all based around these key core. Whoops. Oh, no. Whoops. All right, I screwed that one up. All based around these. Whoops. Oh, come on. Oh, okay. Sometimes I do really great at these puzzles. Other times I do really not so great. There we go.
Nice. Well done.
So in this particular dungeon, there are these sort of pinball puzzles almost. And each dungeon kind of has its own gimmicks and, you know, methods for the puzzles, and they get a bit more complex as the game progresses. Each dungeon is meant to be about, whoops, all right, we're encountering a little bug. We've already fixed this bug, but we haven't pushed it to this build. So please pretend you're not seeing this pickup stuck to me.
Seeing what?
Exactly. I do know how to resolve it though. So that was another example of kind of a little optional area that you don't have to take to complete the dungeon, but it does provide some of those extra resources.
Sure. Gotta love rewarding players for looking a little bit deeper or a little more thoroughly. It's very good.
Yeah, or having the patience to do that puzzle over and over again. You think
Sure.
after doing 50 of these demos this week, I'd be able to really nail it, but
Hey man, sometimes it just doesn't work.
yeah, I will say something that I've really learned about the game and playing it so much this week is even having played this same dungeon like a bunch of times, like the combat remains like it is so satisfying to smack everything into the walls like that. Like,
Yeah,
there we go.
nice.
So we've got some of that special currency, and we're able to kind of move on.
It makes a lot of sense that you're like swinging and knocking enemies into walls, being that your weapon is like a giant bell on the end of a pole. Like it would feel weird if that's not what you were doing. I think like if you weren't hitting things and sending them flying, it'd be like, but it's a big weighty bell. So
Yeah, and in some of the initial concept art, when they were kind of in they were like in pre-production, they knew they wanted some kind of heavy weapon, and so they originally prototyped with like hammers and things like that. And ultimately, oh, are you kidding me?
1 or 2 pixels off.
It's harder to do when I'm talking and playing at the same time. It's, oh geez, come on. There we go.
It made that work though.
It's a great example of how there are multiple ways to solve the puzzles.
Sure.
Every once in a while, every once in a while in these demos, I will solve a puzzle in a new and exciting way. Oh, did that? Nope.
Almost. This is interesting though. I dig it's pretty unique hitting. So there's one game that came out. Oh my God, was that 2 years ago? That can't be 2 years ago. It had to be last year. There's a game that came out called Creature in the Well. That was a like dungeon crawler that was mixed with like a pinball game where you ran around and swung like a thing that would charge motes of light, and then you'd hit them around all these bumpers and things. And it was one of the most unique like takes on just like dungeon crawling, and this being a means now of like solving puzzles in here is really, really cool.
All right, let's see if I can get this other optional area. Oh no! Oh, okay.
Still got it. Well done. Nice. And what are those crystals and the currency they give you do? Just for like
those are for that
things?
that unlock menu that we saw earlier, and each biome will have its own associated currency.
Sure. Okay.
So here we have another kind of armor, which this particular type of armor is called, shoot, I can't remember the name. I always want to call it multiplication armor. We'll call it multiplication armor. Basically, it means that when I break this guy's armor, it's going to actually bring another monster into the combat.
Interesting.
And so that'll become tactically important, especially in the next fight with the mini boss, because you can end up getting overwhelmed if you target that armor first. You're going to end up with a lot of enemies on field.
Sure.
That could be really difficult.
You have to like handle them one at a time almost, or last, so that they can. Interesting.
Yeah, kind of related to being overwhelmed by a lot of enemies. One of the kind of shticks in one of the later dungeons is around dice, where you kind of bash the dice, and depending on what it lands on is like the number of enemies that are spawned. So they're experimenting with that. Here you see a very classic kind of Nintendo technique of pointing players towards hidden secrets. This one's a little bit obvious since this is a really early game dungeon.
Sure.
But we're rewarded with another area with some currency to grab. And this time it's a hologram of Cook, the missing chicken. So we have a chance to rescue another NPC soul, and we'll be able to bring this back and perform the soul retrieval ritual. And then Cook will become an NPC in the town that may play a role in a different story, or unlock dialogue, or even serve a particular feature.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're kind of not kind of you're going through and repopulating the town and reconnecting the world and trying to like, and as you do it, all of these things are kind of impacting what you're able to do in between dungeon crawls. It looks like.
So before I run in here, I'm gonna narrate a little bit so that you'll see it happen, because it's gonna happen very quickly in combat.
Sure.
The healing mechanic, I'm not gonna do it now because I want to save it for the boss. You see this green stripe in the upper left is the essence. Those are the little crystals I've been collecting.
Sure.
So they didn't want to have like a healing potion mechanic or like a pickup. So in this case, you'll see when I use it that it summons a sort of beacon that will heal me over time. And that's something that's also up. This is the basic version, and over time it will also be upgradable. May become like it provides also a shield, or it may also become like a sentry gun shooting enemies that are nearby.
Sure.
So yes, so, they're telling me it's a wide room, obviously dangerous. We all know what that means.
Yep.
Ouch. So I see that boss has 2 stacks of the that multiplication armor.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to avoid triggering those until I take out these little guys.
Are there any enemies that interact with each other when you send them careening into a wall?
Not really. You can definitely hit multiple enemies at once, and you'll see that if I hit, let's see, do that first. Oops. Once I break his armor, ouch, dude, and he summons these really annoying ranged monsters. So if I hit him up into those jars, I can do extra damage. So you can use kind of environmental stuff like that to your benefit.
Nice, yeah. So you can hit them into things.
And there's my healing beacon, which I turned out not to really need.
Nice.
And we're treated to a very classic heroic dungeon pose.
Of course. One must.
And so this is a pretty early game dungeon. Like Bastion and games similar, they wanted to design something that was a little bit more compact and approachable. So the dungeons are designed to be about 20-30 minutes. They get a little bit longer, maybe more like 40 minutes later in the game. But they wanted them to kind of be relatively compact. The game as a whole is also fairly compact. It's probably about 10 to 15 hours if you were to kind of just blow through it.
Sure. It's kind of nice, in my opinion, having games that don't take 60, 100 hours to get through, but a good
I don't have time to play 60, 80, 100-hour games that much anymore.
No, I can play like 1 or 2 a year, and outside of that, I've got to fill up my time with little more quick things that I can run through. This is one of those, it seems.
So now that we've kind of beaten this dungeon and retrieved the soul, we're gonna kind of get kicked back here to the entrance of the dungeon in the village.
Sure.
And you'll see that it's now nighttime. They have this nice day and night cycle just to kind of give some variation to the art. We're greeted by a couple townspeople, and Lembasun is telling us he's going to gather everyone together for the soul retrieval ritual, and we'll be able to bring Ramu back.
Yeah, this style's great. I know I've said that already, but it's really good. It's the really good art style.
Yeah, if you have a chance to like go back and check out like their some of their old tweets and stuff, their concept art is amazing.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite things to look at too. I will definitely.
And now we'll get to see the sort of tearful reunion. Of course, since the art style, the characters don't have faces, you'll see a lot of these sort of emojis to help kind of explain how people are feeling.
I like it. I like it. faces that small are already have to be so like stylized and kind of like vague that making them blank is A, it looks cool, and B, I think is a good like time good for your time doing it, and it's a dope style choice. I like it a lot.
So that's the end of the demo that we have prepared today. Turn my video on now. So yeah, any other questions?
You said that I think you gave me all the information I need. You said they were in pre-pro for a couple of years and they've been in production for about 5-6 months. And the date again is like Q1 ish 2022.
Not ish, Q1.
Q1. Okay, cool. Other than that, how can people follow them and find them on Twitter? What's the best way to get at them?
So we mostly use the developers account, which is stellarNull, is the development team. Also, it's obviously a huge help that if you love the game, you think it looks cool, please wishlist and follow us on Steam. That's obviously, of course, one of the biggest things you can do to help us out.
Yep.
And yeah, tell your friends. You know,
For
I
sure.
think this game is really special, and I'm excited to get it out into the world.
Yeah, I think it looks great, and I'm excited for it. I just have to wait.
Yeah, have a great rest of the day and E3.
All right, thanks. You too, man. Take it easy.
Bye, man.
See you.